Just like you read, I quit my job. I know there are a lot of videos like this on YouTube lately, but I just wanted to share my experience in the hopes that it might help someone else. So, I started this job in October of last year. I had just graduated from high school a few months earlier, and I've never liked wasting time, so I handed out my resume to 3 different places. Only one of them called me back, and I started working 3 days later. The job was at an internet cafe, and it involved offering a variety of services: photocopies, printing, doing online paperwork, Word and Excel tasks, and basically everything related to computers. The job wasn't physically tiring, but it was mentally exhausting. It wasn't just about selling things. It involved doing full-on computer work that took time, and sometimes people would pile up waiting. When I started, I had a coworker who trained me in some things, but not everything, so I had to learn by watching tutorials and figuring things out on my own. About a month in, my coworker got fired due to some unrelated issues, and I was left to handle everything by myself, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and sometimes even until 6 p.m., for the same pay. At first, it wasn't too bad. I actually enjoyed it, because I was learning something new every day. But over time, the stress of doing everything on my own started to wear me down. By January this year, I suggested they hire someone else to help me out so I could get some rest. I recommended an old friend, and although my boss wasn't convinced at first, they eventually hired him. I trained him, and within a few weeks, he was able to handle everything. That allowed me to come in later and work fewer hours, about 8 in total, with a raise. I was sleeping better, had less on my plate, and I felt really comfortable with the job. However, by April, I started feeling stuck. I felt like I wasn't learning anything new. The pay was good, and I had free time to relax, but I still felt like I could be doing more, starting my own business, working online, learning something interesting, launching a project, etc. And right at the end of April, I got what felt like a sign. The owner of the shop decided to rent the place to someone else who was going to open an ice cream parlor. So, obviously, we were going to lose our jobs. My friend and my supervisor were a bit sad about it, but I saw it as a sign. A sign that it was finally time to use my savings and everything I had learned to start something of my own, and take a break too. They gave me severance pay equal to 1 month's salary and a letter of recommendation. I was ready to start working on my projects and bring all my ideas to life. But then, my supervisor had the idea to rent a smaller space just across the street to keep offering the same services. She said she wanted to keep working with me, that she appreciated my work, and that this new venture was going to grow and everything. Honestly, I didn't want to accept, but in the end, I said yes out of a sense of obligation, to help. I'm not proud of accepting the offer to work in the second location, but I don't regret it either. Besides the severance pay, I got a few more paychecks out of it. But from the moment I started, I knew I wouldn't stay more than a month. I started on May 1st and left on June 7th. The deal was a fixed salary, but when payday came around, we were paid less because the new shop wasn't bringing in as much as the old one. But since we weren't doing that much either, we didn't complain. I was just helping out. Eventually, I told my boss I was going to be taking a course. I didn't know how to tell her I had other things to do because she trusted me so much, and I felt bad letting her down. So I recommended someone to take my place, and my friend stayed on. From June 7th until today, I felt a kind of freedom I hadn't experienced since graduating. The freedom to use my time for my own projects and goals, instead of spending it working for someone else. The freedom to choose my own schedule, fix my sleep routine, organize myself the way I want, go out when I want, and enjoy being at home when I need to. I've been able to dedicate time to this YouTube channel, which I really want to grow. I've had time to keep freelancing, designing thumbnails and editing videos, keep learning guitar, train, read, and sleep on my own terms. I haven't made as much money as I did at the internet cafe, but honestly, sometimes the paycheck isn't worth the stress and discomfort a job causes. Some friends told me it wasn't a good idea to quit just like that, but like one friend said, you never stay long in a place where you're not comfortable, and it's true. Now that I've quit, I trust in my abilities to make money. I know I can earn more than I did at my old job, just now on my own terms with my own freedom, and doing something that carries my name. I learned a lot at that job. They treated me really well. They even bought me medicine when I got sick, gave me a solid letter of recommendation, and even said I was welcome back if I ever wanted or needed to return, which is rare for any job. But honestly, I felt like I didn't belong there anymore, and that it was time to move on and create something of my own. I felt it was time to grow, and that's exactly what I'm doing now. If any of you are in a situation where you feel stuck in a job that no longer offers benefits or learning opportunities, maybe it's time to ask yourself if quitting might be the right move. Of course, always with a backup plan or some savings to get by, in case it takes time to find a new job or your project doesn't take off right away.